Hello class and welcome to lesson 7.1, area of two-dimensional objects. Believe it or not folks, this is our last unit in the course, so hang on tight, soon the exam will be coming. Alright, so let's get started. First thing we're going to take a look at in this geometry unit is to take a look at area of two-dimensional shapes. So just remember folks, to calculate the area of a composite shape, that usually means more than one figure, you add in the areas of all the pieces as well. You could do that with perimeter as well as with volume. Let's take a look at the example here. It says calculate the trim of the window. Well, the trim of the window, hopefully you're thinking of perimeter. And looking at this window we have here, be very careful, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at a window for trim, because this dotted line, this line that I marked in red, sometimes it's included and sometimes it's not. Since I drew it in, we're going to include that as part of our measurement. But if it was open and not included like that, then you wouldn't include it in your calculations. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to say perimeter total equals the perimeter of the rectangle plus the perimeter of half a circle. Okay, so perimeter of a rectangle is 2 lengths plus 2 widths plus the perimeter of a circle. So just remember, first of all, we're going to do half of it because it's a semicircle, and then it's going to be 2 pi r. Okay, so taking a look, first of all, I'm going to do a quick cancellation here. Half and 2, those two will cancel things out. Now we'll do a substitution, so it's going to be 2 times my length, and my length, I guess you can say it's 15, plus 2 times my width, which is 10, plus pi times r. Well, if you're trying to figure out your radius, remember it's the distance from the center out. If you're not sure, this whole dimension here is 10, so half of it's going to be 5. So this is going to be 5 pi. Plug that in your calculator, ladies and gentlemen, and you should end up with 65.7 centimeters. Notice the units are singular because it's perimeter. Taking a look at our second example, area formula are on page 7 of your workbook. Also see attached, I also will probably provide you a photocopy or a print off of this sheet that you'll see attached on the next page, which I'll show you, or at the end of this lesson. You could also use it. All right, next one. To calculate the area of an object, the units must be the same. So let's take a look at the area of a deck. So say we wanted to maybe stain this deck and we need to find out the surface area. That's a common thing that you need to do in reality. Take a look at our units. First of all, you should notice we've got meters and centimeters. They are not the same, so we need to make them the same. If you're not sure how to convert centimeters to meters, there's 100 centimeters in a meter. So I'm going to make that 6.5 meters. Now that my units are the same, now I can calculate the area of the deck. So area of the deck, and again folks, I don't care if you use words or if you draw diagrams, it doesn't matter to me as long as you give me that introductory statement. So area of the deck equals length times width. It doesn't matter in your case what you do for the length. Sometimes people always say the 12 or the length is the longest line. The only time it really depends on when you're doing length versus width is if you're doing a portrait. It's either a 5x7 or a 7x5. And when they talk about that, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, it's always the horizontal measurement they give you first, okay? Which would technically be the base, if you want to talk about base versus height. Okay, so our new length is 12 and width is 6.5. Plug it in your calculator, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to get 78. And watch your units here, meters squared. Okay, that's a squared unit because it's area, and that's common to all area calculations. All right. Next, we're going to take a look at that units can be converted using charts, calculators, and online conversion tools. To convert units, multiply the conversion ratio. Okay, put the desired unit on top and the other one on the bottom. Let's take a look here at an example of a deck stain. A deck stain is sold by the can that covers 150 square feet per can. How many cans are needed? So it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you below As long as you can find a conversion, that is good. You'll notice down below here, guys, I'm going to go over some stuff. There's lots of conversion websites you can find. If you look at the attached, here, I'll just flip it back so you can see the attached worksheet that I gave. That's a conversion chart. So all your units are there. And if you're doing area, which is here, or volume, which is here, you got to be careful on your units. Okay? All right, so that's there for you to print off, and I probably will give you a copy of it in class. But back to our lesson. We're going to do a conversion now. All right, so take a look at a conversion to figure out how many cans we need. Notice we have to do a conversion because our answer for the area of the deck was 78 meters squared. So what do we know? We have 78. I'm just going to put meters squared above it. And I'm going to set up what's called an equivalent ratio. Okay, we need to get it into feet squared because that's what it is. Okay, we're not sure what it's going to be, but we're going to calculate. That's going to be our node. Then we use the conversion and fill in the bottom part. Okay, and you got to match it up. So first of all, it says 1 foot squared, so it's going to go under the foot column, which is there, meaning this area here. Okay, and the next is the meters squared, so that ratio goes right here. There's two ways you can do this, ladies and gentlemen. You can remember to cross multiply, or you can realize that x divided by 1 is x, so you would simply just divide. Okay, so plug in your calculator, go 78, divide 0.0829, and you'll get approximately 839.6 feet squared. So we've converted it to the amount that the can is sold by, but that doesn't answer the question. That just tells me that my deck itself is 839.6 square feet. What we need to do is take it one step further and find out how many cans. So the number of cans is going to equal the area of the deck divided by the area per can that it's sold at. So we know the area of the deck is 839.6 feet cubed divided by the amount of coverage that one can gives is 150. Plug it in your calculator, ladies and gentlemen, and you should get around 5.59 cans. But just think about it, guys. When you go to the store, can you buy 5.59 cans? No, you have to round up. So therefore, you will need 6 cans to stain the deck. All right, so conversions, you have to be careful. Notice this conversion dealt with squared units to squared units. Okay, if it was just a length calculation or conversion between meters to meters, it's a different conversion, folks. So let's take a look at why it would be different. Okay, and it says here, I'd probably put this in a box because it's important stuff. Okay, hopefully you can remember this, but it says watch your conversions. They must have the same units. So if you're going from a length, for example, centimeters to inches, both units have what we call singular units, just like the perimeter up there. Okay, if you're going through area, an example would be centimeters, centimeters squared to inches squared, both have to be what's called the square units. And the rate is different because this is actually a squared conversion compared to a singular conversion. So you got to look differently. So you would look in the area section for that one. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, volume, that's a cubic unit. Okay, so it's going to be cubic, which means, again, you're going to have to look for centimeters cubed to inches cubed. All right? And you'll see those on several websites. Here I have included a formula sheet which shows you common conversions and geometry formulas, so you can easily find them on the internet. Here's some links, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check them out, or just know that they're highly accessible wherever you go. All right, let's practice some conversions here, guys. We'll do some here's an example of some basic conversions. So just take this information. I probably got it off the website somewhere, and I made up some questions based on it. All right, example, convert the following. So we want to take a look at 25 yards to meters. This is especially true when you're doing gardening. I love to garden, and sometimes I calculate my square footage or whatever, but things are sold in yards or meters or whatever. So conversions are something you're going to need to know how to do. All right, so let's take a look at this here. Okay, so the first thing we know is what is given. We know that it's 25 yards. Okay, so put yards on is going to be the first fraction, and meters is going to be the second. That's what we're going to try to find. So what we do is we go up to the conversion and look where it has yards to meters. Okay, and you notice right here, I've got yards to meter, and it's 1 meter. So that's what we put down beside, because this is my meter. This is my meter fraction here. And the other one is the yard, so 1936. Okay? And what we need to do here, folks, is to realize that it's divided by 1, or that's one possibility. The other one is just remember how to cross multiply. So you can take x times 1.0936, so that's going to be 1.0936x equaling 25 times 1, which is 25. How do you get x by itself? You divide by what it's currently multiplied by. I apologize. Let me fix that. I don't want to have that error stuck in there. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, and whatever you do one side, you do the same to the other. Okay, plug it in your calculator. X equals 22.86 meters. Okay, remember, folks, that this is a metric unit. Metric allows for decimals, so metric has decimals. All right, let's take a look at the next one. We're going to go centimeters to inches. So what do we know? We know we got 36 already. There's my centimeters. I'm going to make it related to inches. And then I'm going to look up top and see if I can find the conversion. Okay, so centimeters to inches, that's this one. Okay, so I've got 1 centimeter, so it goes on that side. And inches is 0.3937. Okay, taking a look here, when you cross multiply, it's going to be 1 times x, which is x, equals 14.1732. And my units in this case are inches. Now what I need you to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is inches metric or imperial. Notice that it's actually imperial, which means you cannot leave it as a decimal because imperial has fractions. Okay, so you remember that when you have inches, you can break it down into a whole inch, half, quarter, eighth, 16th, or 32nd. So just practice plugging in your calculator, plug some things in, and I tried plugging in just a bunch of things, and then I went 5/32. If I plug that in, that's getting me close to this decimal value that I have, the 0.17. So I rounded it to approximately 14 and 3/16 inches. Okay? Short form for inches is IN, inch. Okay? Any questions on that conversion? All right, let's take a look at doing a little harder example here. Okay? So what we're going to take a look at right now is calculate the area of the sandbox in square meters. Okay, square meters, ha. Okay, but what are my units given in? They're in feet. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to make sure I know how to do a calculation conversion. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is to find out the area in feet, and then I'm going to square feet, and then I'm going to convert it to square meters. Okay, that way you only need one conversion as opposed to converting all of this section off. So how do we approach this? First of all, we've got to remember a couple things. How do we find the area of the sandbox? And the sandbox is what's in black, or the pentagon. Okay, well, we know that we've got a roughed out square here. How can you tell it's a square, ladies and gentlemen? Because 3 plus 5, that's 8 feet. Okay, and on the top, notice that says 4 feet, but this is also, notice the symbols are the same here. So you've got 4 plus 4, so altogether here you have 8 feet. So if we take 8 feet and get the area of the box and subtract these 4 triangles, 2 are the same on the top, 2 are the same on the bottom, then we can find the area of our sandbox. Okay, so we're going to start off by taking the area of the square and subtracting 4 times the triangles. Remember, we've got to split those triangles into 2 separate parts. So the area is length times width times 0.5 base height. Subtract 2 times 0.5 base height, which is just base times height divided by 2, folks. That's all that is. Okay, so plugging it in, we know it's 8 times 8. Subtract 1 times 5 plus 3 times 4. Okay, and those are just all your measurements that were given. Okay, plug in your calculator, ladies and gentlemen, do some work. Okay, and so what we end up with is we end up with 47 square feet, or feet squared, whatever you want to say. So that's the area. Now we want to convert it to the meters. So what are we given? 47, and that's feet. We want to get it to meters squared, which is there. So we've got to look for a conversion, which is given right here. Okay, so we're going to say that 1 meter squared equals 10.76. Okay, cross multiply, or just, sorry, you can cross multiply and divide, or just realize that you got to divide. So take 47, divide 10.76. That equals 4.368 meters squared. Okay? So what does that tell us? Therefore, the sandbox is roughly 4.4 meters squared. All right, any questions with that, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, here's your homework. Page 130 to 131, numbers 2AB, 3CD, 9, 10E, 12, 17, and 20. And just a reminder, folks, ask me in class for this conversion sheet, and on one side, and on the other side is going to be your geometry, like your volume, area, and perimeter calculation sheet. You might remember that from grade 9 when you did your EQAO, because that's where they got it from. All right, folks, have a fabulous day. Enjoy that this is our last unit. It is a short unit, folks, so it won't take us long to get through it. Just a reminder, when you're looking at your conversions, folks, be careful if you need, like, for example, if it's centimeters squared to inches squared, you're looking at area, okay? You're not looking over just in the direct length section over here, because the conversions are different, okay? This is singular units on this side, okay? Down here, if you need squared units, look for the area. If you need cubic, look for the volume. All right, have a fabulous day. Enjoy the short unit, and namaste.